Good morning, aspirants. It's 9th of December today, and I welcome you all on today's edition of What to Read in the Hindu newspaper. I'm 𝗗𝗶𝗹𝘆 𝗡𝗲, Senior Mentor at Prepp IAS. While going through the articles, we will not only try identifying the core key concept of it, but we will also try identifying the relevant peripheral concepts that are directly or indirectly important for our exam perspective. I am here to align your newspaper reading as a part of our GS syllabus. So let's get started. The very first article that is worth our attention in today's paper is about government opposition spar in Lok Sabha over vande Mataram. Now, when we map this particular article in our syllabus, this is relevant for GS paper 1 under the theme modern history, GS paper 2 polity, wherein parliament is very much important, and also GS paper 4 national symbols and values. Why this particular article is important? Since it is 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram, so what is the symbolism for this? Afterwards, national integration and its relevance. Parliamentary debate strategy that has been there in the recent past, which is deteriorating nowadays. Afterwards, for prelims perspective, there are certain factual information that we have to revise while going through this particular article, which primarily is author of Vande Mataram and his contribution in national freedom struggle. What is national song and national anthem? Difference between the two? Who wrote either of them? Constitutional and official status of national anthem and national song. Historical conferences with regard to partition, Congress, and Muslim League dynamics. For mains perspective, the same article is to be seen through the lens of role of national symbols in nation building, political narratives around freedom struggle symbols, how parliamentary debates shape public memory. This is how this particular article is to be holistically seen, which is very much important for our all GS1 and GS2, GS4 papers. The next very important article, which is in news today and is on editorials page of today's edition, that majorly talks about democracy's paradox, the chosen people of state. This is relevant for GS paper 2, wherein citizenship, GS paper 2, role of ECI, GS paper 1, wherein post-independence consolidation can be understood. Now, why this particular article is relevant for today's edition is majorly about the debate surrounding NPR and NRC data that resurfaces with special summary revision, which is going on across the country in the form of SIR, wherein citizenship is equivalent to status versus proof is the debate that is going on. For prelims perspective, we need to know the difference between NPR, NCR versus census, who conducts them, and who keeps the data with within them. Citizenship Act of 1955, its recent amendments, just solely versus just sanguines, the difference between these two concepts and how it is applicable in India's citizenship scenario. For mains perspective, the same article is to be seen through the lens of tensions between documentary evidence and citizenship rights, power and role of ECI versus constitutional limits that it has imposed, historical shift in India's citizenship philosophy, and this could be used in mains, wherein citizenship as a political leader and philosophical identity can be underlined. So this is how this particular article is to be seen holistically, keeping in mind the multidimensional aspect and usage in our exam. Now, the next important article, which is there in the paper, and that majorly talks about carceral culture. So this is relevant for GS paper 2, governance, police reform, GS paper 3, internal security, and also is relevant for GS paper 1, wherein society could be underlined, and the rights of physically handicapped people could be underlined. This is important for today's paper, majorly about. It talks about, firstly, over criminalizes state, and at the same time, a high incarceration rate, which actually divides it into caste and class skewness. Or prelims perspective, we need to know about the recent amendment with regard to Prisoners and Right of Person with Disability Act of 2016. What are its obligation of state towards the prisoners that has been there? Prison Reform Committee, so far, the recommendations for the same. Knowing about Article 22 and due process. NCRB data in specific to under trials is to be revised for this particular article to understand holistically. For mains perspective, the same article is to be seen through the lens of Indian criminal justice system, which is punitive in nature and not reformative. Afterwards, structural violence with regard to caste, poverty, policing, and bail reforms as a priority, it could be understood. And this is how this particular article is to be holistically read and revised for today's edition. The next very important article, recently Russia's president, Mr. Putin, came to India for the summit. So the real story of India-Russia summit. Now, in yesterday's address, India has often said India-Russia relationship, and in particular Russia, to be a pole star. That means having all-weather friendship since historical past. So this is relevant for GS paper 2 under the theme IR, under the theme energy, which is in GS sector GS3, and GS1, wherein world history context of multipolarity could be understood. For prelims perspective, the factual information and schemes that we have to read about is INSTC, Vostok exercises, rupee ruble mechanisms that we have developed for oil exchange and trade. For mains perspective, the same theme is to be seen in the form of Russia as India's long-term but recalibrating partner, energy corridor shifts post-Ukraine war, how India plays strategic autonomy in the rising tensions and pressure from Western democracy with regard to balancing India-Russia relations, and at the same time with Western democracies as well. Now, the next important article that is there in the paper and majorly talks about the Northeast Manipur issues that we have seen already, extending olive branch to Meitei MLA visit conflict scars Kuki villages. So this is relevant for GS paper 2, federalism, ethnic issues, insurgency in Northeast, and internal security issue altogether. It is one of the important topics for mains as well as prelims, wherein hill area divide, knowing about Article 371C that gives special status to certain states in Northeast, autonomous councils in Northeast, knowing about all of them and how are the powers being devoluted to them. For mains perspective, the other arenas that could be revised while going through this particular article in reconciliation mechanisms in ethnic conflict region, role of political outreach in conflict fatigue, why trust building precedes law and order, and at the same time, this could be the peace that government is trying to bring back in Northeast, could be one of the social harmony and national security concerns that needs primary attention in today's time. So this is how this particular article is to be seen. The next important article that we have in our today's paper is majorly about how India can benefit from neurotechnology. So this is relevant for GS paper 3 science and tech, GS paper 2 ethics and tech and governance. For prelims perspective, we need to know brain computer interface, what this technology all about, neuro rights, right to mental privacy, OECD, knowing about its organization and mandates, UNESCO guidelines for the same, and at the same time for mains perspective, we need to revise about emerging tech and regulation gap, health, military and disability support system that could be provided with the help of coming time advancement of neurotechnology, ethical challenges with regard to autonomy and surveillance, and technology ethics linkage is very much important in GS4 paper in now coming time. So this is how this particular article is to be seen. The very last important article for the day that we have to go through is about what is India's post-DHRUVA framework. Now, when we map this particular article in our syllabus, this will fall under GS Paper 2, e-governance, GS Paper 3, digital infrastructure. For prelims perspective, we need to know what is DHRUVA, its component, India Post Act basics. For mains perspective, the same article is to be seen through the lens of digital public infrastructure and model expanding beyond finances. Last mile logistics for governance is to be seen. And UPI could work as an analogy that works in all the different stakes of our answer that we have to address. So this is how this particular article is to be seen. This is all from my end for today's Hindu newspaper. Till we meet for the next time, take care, goodbye, keep learning, keep growing.